Another day, another black t-shirt. Thank you for watching this video or stumbling across it, either this year or 20 years in the future. I hope it helps. So today I actually really wanted to touch on the importance of establishing your own values. Not anything that you've picked up from these videos that are trying to tell you what masculinity is, these videos that are trying to tell you what femininity is. Essentially, to put it in the most crystallized version, every day that you wake up, there is someone who is trying to influence you to be, act, buy, think a certain way. Because that's important for them. By keeping you in a specific box, they're able to cater to the needs that they've programmed you to have. Essentially, they're just trying to control you. Now, focusing on building your own values, what that means is you are of independent thought, meaning you came up with this yourself. You need to do that because the first thing anybody needs to do in order for them to move forward with clarity is to know themselves. Know what you don't like, not what your parents don't like, not what your partner doesn't like, but what you don't like. What you want to see from yourself, what you want to see from the world, how you want to hold yourself, how you would handle certain situations. You know, as a 29-year-old, I can honestly say that what's raised me has been my peers, movies, and the time that I've spent with my parents. But if I was to be transparent, I feel like my peers and movies and music entertainment has had way more of an influence and an impact on the morals and the value systems that I grew up with. So for example, as a man, we're really taught that the most important thing you need to focus on is getting girls. And as you get older, it kind of evolves and changes into you need to focus on getting money because that's the most important thing. And once you have the money, the girls will just follow. It was always just like the shifting of perspective on money was just still about the same thing. It was just about having sex with as many women as possible. But the craziest thing is that is such an asinine, foolish value to give to a young man. They need to focus on building themselves first. And you need to focus on building yourself first. And see what really sits with you. Like, don't go to a person's page hoping that they're gonna give you the information that you need for you to figure your whole situation out. Because at the end of the day, so many different things are nuanced. They're just trying to tell you what worked for them. They're trying to tell you the value systems that they made for themselves. And here you are listening to what they're saying and you're like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna apply that with me. Don't make decisions like that unless it really strikes a chord with you, like, that makes complete sense. Or, you know what? I've always felt that way. I just never had the words. But if you never felt that way, if you don't even really see the necessity of it, but you just see that it's working for this person, it's working for that person, so you're gonna use it, wrong move. Wrong move. Trust yourself. Trust your gut. We have become so detached from listening to ourselves that we are not even able to truly utilize our evolutionary gifts. Back in the day, cavemen would literally be on the verge of life and death, probably like every moment of the day. So they were literally living on survival instincts, like their gut. And your gut instinct, your gut is also considered your second brain. If you didn't know that, you should definitely look into it. But the concept of a gut instinct is really this. There are pheromones and so many different molecules and so many different energetic waves just coming out of you that in a way you can feel the things that are around you. So in the same sense of the way you can tell if somebody is staring at you, the way you can tell if there's someone near you, but you didn't hear anything, you didn't see anything, like nothing has changed, you just feel something. That is actually an evolutionary element that was developed through all the years that our ancestors had trying to survive. So this is something that has been honed to perfection. And because we spend so much time looking outward for information, looking outward for guidance, we're not even taking the time to like listen to how we feel about something. Because we think we don't know enough. And it's fine if you think you don't know enough, but you need to, when you're going to someone for information, don't just take it. Don't just take it and drink it. Take it and think about it. How do you feel about this? Does this make sense to you? Weigh it out. Because at the end of the day, like, nobody really knows what the fuck is going on. Nobody really knows what the fuck they're doing. They are just essentially operating in a trial and error or a feedback loop. It's just like I was explaining in the first video, when you're interacting with life, sort of like a cause and effects kind of situation. I know that if I tattoo something on my face and I go outside, there is going to be a specific reaction. So my feedback loop is now, I can't go into certain areas without expecting a certain response. Better yet, in order to make people feel more comfortable, I'm going to have to completely change the way I carry myself because of this tattoo. And I am essentially coming to that conclusion because I have entered several situations and this was the result. So now I am aware of the feedback I'm getting from life and I'm going to have to make an adjustment. So, people are essentially going through a trial and error period, seeing what's working, and coming back and telling you. But once again, they're telling you what worked for them. So for me, I used to read so many fucking books about what this person did and what that person did, and it didn't matter. It would be a rock star, it would be an inventor, it would be a scientist, it would be a painter, a sculptor. I was just interested in greatness. What is it about these people that allowed them to get to this point, from point A to point B? And the reasons, they'll vary, but at the end of the day, there'll be something that gave them this burning desire. And then they went through the process of becoming who they became. And I would take that information and see how I could apply it. But the thing is, it's like, that worked for them. I had spent so much time feeding my intelligence to learn how these other people are operating so that way I can mimic them, because success leaves clues. Not also understanding that I am not them and they are not me. So for example, the concept of shadow work. Shadow work is if you're unfamiliar, shadow work, I believe, was a coined term by Carl Jung, who was if I'm not mistaken, a psychoanalyst. Him and Sigmund Freud came up with a lot of concepts that therapists still use to this day. So shadow work is essentially doing a lot of internal work. And then also the integration of your shadow self, which is like the version of you that you typically try to keep buried down because you feel like if you expose it, people are going to look at you like you're fucking crazy. The thing about it is, for someone like me, I realized that internal shadow work is the last fucking thing that I need. What I actually needed to do was not internal shadow work. My shadow work needed to be external, because my issue was I needed to do an identity shift. And the easiest way to do an identity shift is through external repetitive action. Because what's going on is your subconscious is watching you perform these actions and it's getting these feedbacks. So now the subconscious, my subconscious, is shifting from seeing me in one way to another because of these repetitive actions. And the more that I do it, the more concrete this belief system or this viewpoint of myself. So I had spent so much time trying to make permanent changes in here, in my mind, and my subconscious was essentially just like, I hear you, but I'm gonna need some proof. Now, nobody told me this. This was a conclusion I came all on my own, because I spent so much time thinking up here, working up here, trying to see like, damn, what is it that I'm missing? What am I not getting? What is it gonna take for me to be like this person? What is it gonna take for me to become this person? And it's like, the solution and the answer was so simple, and I couldn't believe I never came across it in a book, because there's nothing to write about. You wanna change? Do the work. You want results? Do the work. You want to be this person? Do the actions that they do. And even so, you won't be that person. You'll just be another version of yourself who does these actions. So, I don't know if I completely veered off topic, but point being, come to your own conclusions. Like, actually critically think. Think about, like, does this make sense? Is this actually applicable? You can go on YouTube right now and type in something about women. You can type in masculinity on YouTube right now, or you can type in feminism or femininity on YouTube right now. And what you're gonna see is probably like, goddamn, like 10,000, 30,000 different platforms and videos of all the things that women are doing wrong, and then all the things that men are doing wrong. And if you actually give them your time, you'll notice that all of it is really echoing the same sentiments. They're all really saying the same things. But the craziest thing is that, like, life is not black and white like that. So when someone's trying to give you advice on how to handle a relationship, does it apply to your relationship? Is your partner like that? Are you like that? Does all of that make sense for you to do it? Like, people are not thinking. Most people don't actually think. I actually found out recently, I think 60% of the world does not hear a voice in their head. Not hearing a voice in your head implies like there's nothing going on in there. You're not thinking, you're just reacting and responding. And that's what's happening as you grow up. You're just reacting and responding, and to your detriment, absorbing and implementing. You're implementing values that you didn't actually choose. You're going into careers that you were advised to because it was the wisest decision. And this is how people end up 40 years old and completely disillusioned with themselves in life, because they're like, I don't know how I got here. You don't know how you got here because you didn't make these decisions. Somebody made it for you. If you do not make a stance on the type of person you want to be, if you don't make a stance on the type of thoughts you want to have, if you don't make a stance on the focus, on the things you want to focus on, if you don't make a stance of your values, someone is going to implement them on you without you even realizing. And the most important thing that you can really say to the world is, fuck you. I'm gonna do my own thing. Even as I'm like in the process of doing these videos, like, I know one day I'm gonna be more comfortable. I'm really good at speaking, so it's just a matter of comfort. I've never recorded myself like this or speaking like this in a consistent fashion. And it makes me uncomfortable. But I understand, not because I read it in a book, but through experiencing it firsthand, that a requirement, an essential need for change is discomfort. Because you cannot change comfortably. It's an uncomfortable process. And in a lot of situations, you're gonna wish you put yourself through that discomfort. Because when life comes to completely shit on whatever you have going on, and you're not able to handle the pressure, the stress, the weight, you're gonna think that you're a weak person. And you're not. You just didn't go through the process needed to handle this. So, which is a bit super off topic, but I also just wanted to add that. But most importantly, please, fuck what the world is trying to get you to do. Fuck watching another YouTube video. I'm gonna make more, but I hope this is your last one. Like, you don't need somebody to tell you how to be a man. The most interesting thing about being a man is a man dictates how he wants to live. So how can a man look to another man for how to be a man? Like, I mean, sure, there's things that might escape you, and there's values that you didn't know you needed to have, or like all these little things, but at the end of the day, a man dictates what they want to be. And if I was to completely strip away gender traditional values, you determine how you want to operate in this life. And if you don't, somebody else will. So don't be a passenger in your life. Don't be a third person in your life, like you're just watching yourself like a Sims character. You're just doing shit because that's what you're supposed to do, or fuck all that. Fuck all of that. Set your own rules, your own standards, your own traditions, your own everything. Because these people, they just want you to become a consumer. They want you to buy their product. They want you to spend your money. I'm gonna make things where I'm gonna want people to buy my stuff. Of course, I want people to buy my beats. I have this thing with fashion, I want to speak on it, but this isn't the video or a day to do it. But even so, like, my whole ethos for it would be like, I'm just giving you a piece of something for me, but I really just made it for you. And honestly, these videos, they're for me because it's helping me hold myself accountable. It's helping me start this pattern of doing something that I'm uncomfortable with every day, regardless of what the result is going to be. And I truly, truly hope that in the process of me doing that, it's helping somebody else. To be honest, I hope it helps somebody more than it will help me, because I don't even mean that. No, I hope we both mutually benefit from this experience and these exchanges of me putting a video and you watching my bearded face on your screen. So I'm gonna stop it right here. And side note, if you see yourself having self-sabotaging statements like I just did and had to catch that shit. Catch that shit, because your subconscious is always listening. Everything you say matters. Anywho, I'm just gonna stop it right here. Thank you so much for watching. And once again, there's nothing in your way. You have no obstacles. Obstacles are optical illusions. There's nothing stopping you from being what you want to be, doing what you want to do. At this point, it's really just like how you see yourself is the ceiling you set on yourself. So try to see yourself as limitless, and that's exactly how you'll operate. Sending you so much love. I hope you have an amazing day, month, week, year, decade.